What's a good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. I got a special guest with me today. Do you go by Section 240 or?
I go by Bonafide.
Okay. I got Bonafide in the building with me. Titans fan. Obviously, we have our week 2 matchup coming in. I appreciate you talking through this with me, my boy.
Absolutely. Appreciate you for having me, man. Yeah, definitely. Hey, look, it's funny because the New York Jets used to be Titans.
Yeah, the original Titans. Yeah,
the original Titans. So we kind of like stole that from y'all. Y'all wasn't using it anyway.
Facts. Hey, let the team that wants to own it. I do miss the title only because now, like, it's funny because even when we draft players, when I'm hearing the follow-up interviews and stuff, they'd be like, I didn't know we don't even play in New York. I was like, yeah, we got to fix that. Yeah, we got to fix that. But yeah, so we have our matchup today, and I wanted to kind of get some thoughts from somebody that's actually a big fan of the team. You guys know I try to pull what I can now, but there's nothing like hearing it directly from the source. So I know we're both coming off some very tough losses in week 1. So what's kind of the atmosphere and the thought process walking into this game?
Man, look, right now, if you listen to pay attention to Nashville media, all you're going to hear them talk about is that boneheaded play from Will Levis, the interception for the knees, man. I tell you, that joint, I actually went to the game. I was actually in Chicago for the opener and which witnessed it firsthand. We were up 17-0 and we just had a second half collapse like none other. But all they're going to talk about is that. I mean, it's kind of died down now, but yeah, it was a bad, bitter taste in our mouth, especially, losing that game where it was basically winnable. Shoot, our coach even came out in the press and said, man, we probably could have won that game had we just punted on 1st and 10. For the rest of the game after the second half.
I heard that. Yeah, that was a wild quote. It's always interesting as Jets fans because we've been in the basement for a while now. So I was like, it's intriguing seeing somebody else that at least from the media perspective of it, feel like they're so down in the gutter for things. Because I could tell you we've had some crazy quotables from our head coaches and offensive coordinators in the past, and you walk away just scratching your head like, what?
See, and the thing about it is, what's crazy is that our teams are more connected than what you think, because I think your offensive line coach is Keith Carter, who used to be our offensive line coach down here when Mike Vrabel was the coach, and then I think y'all got Todd Downing is up there too, and So and then I think y'all picked up y'all picked up Shane Bowen too. Is Shane Bowen the defensive coordinator?
Shane Bowen? No, we don't have him.
Okay. I might be getting y'all confused with somebody else. But yeah, y'all got a few of our older guys.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of overlap. We talked about it a lot during the offseason too. We were like, a lot of people, I actually like some of the pieces right now. Keith Carter, a little bit of an enigma, but I like him. I respected the job he did in Tennessee with the line. Downing was a little bit more of a hard sell, right? But it was kind of like, a lot of people discussed why are we trying to essentially take the entire Titans personnel that's no longer there. And
Keith Carter, he didn't get along with Lawan a lot. And but he did do a lot of that. I don't really think a lot of the failures were up on him. It's just the offensive coordinator thing. So that's why the Downing thing was interesting to see there, because he, even back when he was with the Raiders, we kind of always it was always like we have Todd Downing, and then he just it never panned out for him. He just, to me, he wasn't good. But I don't think he's in charge up there. So maybe he's helping. It's hacking.
Everything's a little disjunction for us because technically any Jets fan you talk to will say Aaron Rodgers is our head coach in OC. Salah's there to own, glorified defensive coordinator, and then Nathaniel Hackett nobody really cares about. They're waiting for him to leave. And Todd Downing's now kind of split as our pass game coordinator / quarterbacks coach. So it's kind of a mess.
I'm gonna throw up a couple prayers for you. But hey, y'all got Aaron Rodgers, so he should be able to cover up a lot of mistakes.
That's the saving grace, man. That's the saving grace. So that's a good point for us to start, right? So when you look at the matchups that we have, what's kind of the areas of concern for you when you look at our personnel versus some spots you feel really good about?
I want to say the running game and the defensive line. Like, so I watched the game. I watched the Monday night game. Obviously, it's a Monday night game, but I was watching to see, how Aaron was going to do, just the pregame scouting right there. And I feel like Aaron, he's older. He's got the Achilles injury, so our defensive line is kind of buffed up. We got Simmons. We picked up Tavondre Sweat, who's the Outland Trophy winner. We got some good pass rushers, and then we picked up Ernest Jones from the Chargers. We got him for like dirt cheap. So, we got Snead and things like that. But the defensive line, I think, just watching how they were able to kind of rattle Aaron. Normally you see Aaron, he gets out there, if he gets a little pressure, he rolls out, flicks the wrist, and it's a 40-yard TD, right? But I didn't get that, and I get it's kind of rusty. So I think our defensive line, if he's still trying to kind of knock off that rust from a year, we may be able to take advantage of that. Also, when it comes to the running game, it's supposed to rain in Tennessee on Monday. And, I'm not trying to peel back any scabs, but, undrafted free agent and Jordan Mason really kind of gashed off almost like a $150 almost. Yeah. So I'm thinking, Pollard had a really good game against the Bears. He was like 80. We got Tyjae Spears. So we kind of got that dual tandem thing. So I'm thinking that those will be a strength for us, but obviously I'm taking it with a grain of salt because when I look at our offensive line, it's nowhere in comparison to the 49ers. Neither is our defensive line. So I'm maybe projecting a little bit, but I think those are things like that. I feel like, but our defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, was like, hey, we're going to treat Aaron Rodgers like the 4-time NFL MVP that he is until he proves otherwise. So, because you think about it, look at the last game. Lazard got 2 touchdowns. Now, I know one of them was a garbage time touchdown, but that quick play touchdown was simply because the threat of Aaron Rodgers. The quick snap, hard count, jumping over off sides, he gets a free play. That's a touchdown. It's just so that those things concern me. Like, how are we going to do? Can we stop Wilson from being the target? Can we rattle Aaron enough to make him do it? So I'm feeling like we probably have a good chance, but it's still, week one's a liar. So y'all can come out tomorrow like gangbusters.
Yeah, man. No, I think those are great call outs because the knee-jerk reaction is always interesting to me versus when I see people, chat about it maybe 2 or 3 days down the line because it was panic for us, right? It wasn't in the grand scheme of things. When I looked at it, even initially, I'm like, all right, you have a Super Bowl runner-up, and obviously every season's different, but we've seen the 49ers produce these top-tier teams. You have a Super Bowl runner-up versus a team that's been at best 7-10 back-to-back seasons. Terrible quarterback play. So even for us, there's been a lot of projection about what we can be. And a lot of that hope was around Aaron Rodgers. And, we've talked about it, but I don't think anybody really considered the rust factor with Aaron Rodgers being in there because it was the same thing. I don't think at age 40 or 41, he's necessarily planning to roll out and do all those kind of things. So it's a bit of an adjustment period, right? And I think that's the same kind of stuff you've seen with even like, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, who's a little bit different as more pass pocket QBs. But I think the biggest piece for us is for sure the defensive line. I know that was one of the first storylines that I seen kick off for the week, right? Jermaine Johnson, he ends, or I think he begins one of his press conferences this week, and he's like, Will Levis, a little panicky when some pressure gets in his face. And all I'm thinking is, he's the same guy that mentioned for us, which is a big reason why I liked him post-draft was you have to earn your right to rush the passer. And obviously everybody had a trash day guarding the run for us. But that's my first thing because Tyjae Spears isn't a scrub. Like the guys y'all have in the running back room are guys that have replaced Derrick Henry at one point or, another when he's had some injury hiccups. And they've generally always done at least a solid job, right? A C+ if you're throwing a grade on it. So from my side of things, I think there's a little bit of us underrating the actual play of the running backs, even if the offensive line isn't as strong as it used to be for the Titans. But they same thing, dual skill sets, ground, air, obviously opportunities if Will Levis isn't holding on to the ball and stuff, takes that out of their hands a bit. But I think I was even catching up on some stuff because I tried to do a little bit more digging and just checking out the highlights. Like there's a stretch for like 1 to 3 or 4 series where like they gave Spears the first handoff, and then it was just pass, and then, you know, maybe a turnover or something like that going on. So I think both teams are really still going to have to try to figure out how they can attack things from an offensive perspective. But do you have an X factor on either side of the ball for you guys?
I think, honestly, to tell you the truth, and Callie, it's funny you mentioned that because Callie said the same thing. If you watch our past game, Spears wasn't as involved as he wanted him to be. You know, I think a lot of our game is predicated around the screen, quick game. I think I was watching a radio show down here that's in Nashville. I was watching online, talking about how we were in 12 personnel for a lot. So we didn't have a lot of chance to have all, you know, Ridley and Hopkins and Boyd on the field at the same time. But I really think that the X factor on this game, honestly, tell you the truth, is probably going to be Tyjae Spears. We know where we're going to get out of Pollard, but I think Tyjae in the passing game, especially in the screen game, I have a funny feeling that the Jets are going to see a lot of screens from there. And the thing about it is that he's probably going to be the X factor. Now, on the defensive side, I think it's going to have to be L'Jarius Sneed. And the thing about it is, I don't know if he's going to travel with Garrett Garrett Wilson the way I want him to. Like, I want my number one guy on your number one guy. And last game, we didn't do that. I think, you know, he didn't shadow DJ Moore as much as he did. Even though he had good snaps, I think he had one missed tackle. Somebody had 2 catches for like 18 yards. He said he did a crappy job, and PFF said he did a crappy job, but it's PFF. You already know about that. But I think on both sides of the field, we're looking at that. So I'm looking at Tyjae to kind of really be one of those get outside the edge, kind of be shifty, things like that, and get more involved with the game, especially if the weather is what it's going to be. And then I think if L'Jarius Sneed is, even if he doesn't shadow, his ability to take away one of those receiving options from Aaron Rodgers may pay dividends. I have a second runner-up, would have been T'Vondre Sweat, just working with Jeffrey Simmons, but I feel like this game may rely more on Sneed because, you know, the accuracy that Rodgers has and his ability to go downfield and his quick release, you know, it may not afford us, our defensive line, enough time to get there unless there's just complete breakdowns like there were before. But remember, like, you know, Nick Bosa's out there. You know, you got a lot of pass rushers out there in the 49ers, and they only sacked him once. So I think it's probably going to be more the secondary that's going to pay off in Tyjae. So I'm going with Sneed and Spears as the X factors for this game.
Fair picks. Yeah, I think, I know when I've seen L'Jarius Sneed in previous matchups, obviously there's a reason he got the big payday. Chiefs found an absolute gem with him. Same thing with, you know, McDuffie over there. But
right.
I've seen Sneed really frustrate Garrett. And one of the things with as lead as he is, you know, coming off the line, being able to open himself up with his, you know, route running, he can still get beat up by physical guys. And L'Jarius Sneed he's one of those throwbacks almost in a way, you know, Champ Bailey types where, you know, he's gonna rough you up a bit the entire game. And I'm curious to see, because Garrett Wilson kind of lets the better of his emotions get ahead of him sometimes, and at least, you know, some sloppy moments and stuff like that. So I think it was a solid first game. Obviously, him still trying to build the connection. I look more so at Jeffrey Simmons, though, because I know it sounded like there's been some disappointment with how he played in game one. But there's a trio there, right? Chris Jones, Quentin Williams, and then Jeffrey Simmons is like the top 3 names that you might hear outside of like a Christian Wilkins and them for the, you know, the next Aaron Donald type guy. But he's essentially a game breaker. I mean, there's nothing you really point to in his game or from a physical standpoint that you say, you know, this could be significantly better. And I'm curious because, you know, we have a pretty large center in Tippmann, very agile and stuff like that. But it's still, I have concerns about our left guard we picked up from the Ravens, John Simpson. And we're still kind of adjusting to this switch in run schemes from like a pure West Coast to like gap power. And I don't know if we necessarily have the physicality to go out there and be trying to trade blows with a guy like Jeffrey Simmons. So
and the thing about it is too, is if that is the concern, I never really thought about that because normally Jets offense. So I'm thinking back to years. What was your
Kevin Mawai and Nick Mangold?
Kevin Mawai, like we had him down there in Tennessee. Kevin Mawai and Nick. your center, I forgot his name.
Nick Mangold. Yeah,
Nick Mangold. So I'm thinking like these are just really good offensive line. They got things like that. But if that is a point of contention and you guys are having it, it may be a long day just because Jeffrey Simmons is there. But what is really taking off, and he's probably disappointed on his performance because he felt like there were some plays that he left out, and that's just how he is. He kind of every week he holds himself to a high standard. Even in this loss, when we knew it wasn't on the defense, he basically said, "Hey, there's things we could do better." Just not coach speak and not just feeding, but really taking it to heart. But pairing him with T'Vondre Sweat. Now you see T'Vondre, you look at him like, okay, big guy, things like that. But if you watch, I would tell your audience to look at if they were there. So what is he talking about? Why is T'Vondre Sweat so good? I mean, yeah, second round pick, but go look at that Brian Baldinger tweet where he called him T-Pain. Now his nickname is Meatloaf, but he called him T-Pain. And for a guy that big, that size, he is really agile. I mean, some of the move.
He's not just great power. He can dunk and stuff like that too. Like he does some ridiculous stuff out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why I was kind of leaning toward the defensive line being kind of maybe a factor, and maybe, and I'm like again projecting maybe the defensive line being above average, plus maybe Rodgers maybe losing a step. If there is like a gap, then that maybe we could take advantage of. But still, Aaron Rodgers' quick release scares me like no other. It's so fast, DK. Is that when you get it, bang, bang, boom, it's out. I wish Levis had that kind of release because then we would get the ball out, but it's just so effortless. He's just like, I'm not even gonna lie. I watched the Hard Knocks last year before he got injured, and I was like, hey, man, I know why Robert Saleh is like, whatever you want, Aaron. Whatever you want, Aaron. What do you want to do? Do you want to go here? You want to go there? I get it because that when you have a good quarterback, even though he's 40, he's a franchise guy. He can make the plays. He can win you the games you're supposed to lose, and that's the difference. And obviously, Will's still young, but yeah, if that's a concern, I would probably just keep my eyes on that. So I'm probably gonna be looking at that for the most part. Now I got to do some homework.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's such a struggle internally for me because I know we got Breece Hall back there, and I feel like he's definitely a dynamic type guy. So I always struggle between go back to the Rex Ryan ground and pound type day stuff, and really hammer it home, and then Aaron Rodgers can play sniper and precision execute a defense versus. Right. You have Aaron Rodgers. Let him go out there and sling that thing. It doesn't have to be, 30-something times, but let him sling it and then let the ground game be the one to be able to just open up huge plays, almost every touch. Plus, I don't know. I don't know if I want him throwing like 30 times a game all season just to get to the playoffs, be kind of like worn out. Because I look at him more so of like the Peyton Manning mode, obviously different type of quarterbacks, but like, you've seen how he operated his final time getting his Super Bowl versus like Tom Brady, who still looked like he could go like another 3 years or something crazy. So, I don't know. It's interesting to pan out, but I know there's the team really shouldn't be underrated because like one of the joking points that I've seen out there is like Jamal Adams being back on the team and we're facing him for the first time. And he seemed like he's played about that too. I seen. I think he's like switched up his stance a couple of times versus like the Jets being trash, and now he's kind of said like a lot of respect for organization. I seen some quotes. I don't know exactly what it was just yet, but there's some ballers, man. I wanted Quandre Diggs in the offseason. Amani Hooker, I think he's bouncing back from like some of the
he was injured last
injury.
Year,
so it's some ballers on here. Like I don't think anybody
got a little bit. I did a video a couple of weeks ago just talking about all the changes. It's like Rand Carthon, who's our GM, which came from the 49ers and took over. He really when they say you got to spend the money, he spent it right because I knew we needed another safety. I knew Jamal was coming over here. When we picked up Jamal, I was like, that's not really the safety we're looking like. Maybe he's a hybrid linebacker coming from sack because that's what he made his name for when he was with you guys in the Jets, and then he came down to Seattle. So, and I honestly wanted Justin Simmons. I thought that he was going to be available, things like that. But then what happened was we picked up Quandre because he had the relationship with thing. And like I said, first game back. First game with us, he played 100% of the snaps. him, Amani, and Kenneth Murray, who we picked up from the Chargers. So yeah, man, we if we can put it all together, man, I can see us making a little run to maybe possibly make the wild card. I mean, we're in the division with Houston, and that until somebody figures out CJ Stroud, it's gonna be tough. I think that's why we kind of focus on defensive enough. But I'm not too much worried about Anthony Richardson, even though he had like a great thing. But it's interesting.
It's a super young division you guys got over there too. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
So Richardson, Levis, Stroud, who's the other?
Trevor is the old guy, but he's still young. He just got his
crazy.
first.
Yeah, I seen him renamed the stadium with like his name in there or something, like Trevor Banks or something like that.
Field, yeah. Hey, look, man. Look, when you're one of these small conferences, you got to do something, man. Now, don't get me wrong. I hate the Jags. I call them the Sparkle Kittens. I don't know if you remember back in the day. Yeah. They used to have that black helmet with the little flakes in it. I was like, man, those Sparkle Kittens. I used to call them all the time. But yeah, they got 19, ETN, Brian Thomas Jr. But me, I can't give them no respect. The only team I give respect is Houston. That's it. The Colts on the other hand, man, I don't know about that.
Fair play. It's pulling teeth over here for us to give any credit to the Dolphins and the Pats and all of them for sure.
Man,
that's funny.
So I mean, hey, I watched that game last night. I mean, at least
same.
Probably mark two of them, like two. Like, hey, man, 2 dubs right there, because I don't think 2 are coming back no time soon. And if they rolling with Skylar Thompson,
it's looking rough for them, man. I'm excited a little bit. It's sad. Like if we do make the playoffs and all that, I want to be able to look back on the road and be like, all right, we knocked off a couple of the great teams that close to full strength or something. But it is what it is. I'm gonna take the victories. I just want to get to the playoffs.
I'm friends with a couple of Dolphins and Bills fans, which is wild to me. But the Dolphins fan, my friend's the Dolphin fan. He had a bad night last night. He was like 3 picks, and all of that happened. It's just like, man, he wanted to mail it in right there. I was just like, it's week 2.
Some of the people that reach out to me, they've been in panic mode for the last 24 hours. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I trust the Coach McDaniels over there, so I'm sure they get it figured out.
He can make something happen.
Yeah. What are you thinking about the game though as a whole? What's kind of the predictions you got floating around?
I'm thinking, and I keep saying this, I'm really heavily relying on it to be a rainy game because I think that might help us slow down Aaron Rodgers. But I think, me personally, I think this is going to be, you might be going home a little bit upset trying to figure out what's going on 0-2. And what really sucks is that you guys have another short week coming up. So it's
I think 3 days later we're playing
on Thursday night. So I'm thinking, I don't know if it's going to be in your heads, but I mean, y'all pretty healthy. We're pretty healthy. I think we squeaked this one out. Personally, I think, Will gets it together. We, the ground game keeps running. We might see, it's going to be a close game. I say 27-20 is what I'm going with.
20
for us. And you get that home win, and then y'all go back to New York with more questions than answers. In that regard.
It could be that way. It's great call out because nobody wants to consider the 0-2 start. I definitely don't want to be in that predicament because my mind's kind of changing on Robert Saleh and kind of the regime we have right now, ever so slightly. But like that hot seat, it's going to be unbearable if we come back 0-2. I've always. I think a lot of us have kind of spoken to this that by the first 4 or 5 games or so, we're not at least even or something. We might end up seeing a new interim coach step in, but I don't think that score is too far off. I mean, I think what it comes down to is I would trust our pass defense versus Will Levis, even if we can't get any kind of pass rush. Over anything else. So I'm curious that if the same kind of game plan ends up happening for you guys, where it ends up the ball ends up being entrusted to Levis probably more than it should have, with the game being close or being up and being able to continue hammering away. I think we could come away with something, but I'm not willing to say I'm comfortable with anything more than like a 6-point tilt either way. And we could explode this game. Both teams, really. We could explode, and it could be like a 30-point shootout or something, or I think it would be like a a field goal or two victory by, skating by at the last couple minutes of the game.
Right.
So I think I'm somewhere in that. I mean, realistically, we would have put up 21 points. We had a failed 2-point conversion and all that against elite tier, but I'd probably say we're probably somewhere in the 20s. Like, I don't know. Actually, your score is probably pretty accurate. I'd probably flip it to the Jets in this case.
Gotcha.
But if it's a Titans win, I would say the score is probably something like 21-14. Or something like that. Probably we screwed up a ton of opportunities. If we win, I think 20-27 probably fits in our way. Probably a score on the ground and a couple in the air with
and y'all probably got a turnover from Will or maybe a fumble because obviously he had 3 in the first game and we were up 17-0. So I can see that happening. I really right now it's too early. It's kind of too early in the season, kind of feel real gumption in your thing. Like if this was week 16 and we were 8-8 and y'all were 8-8, then I could say, oh man, it's gonna be a slobber knocker. But right now, we really just feeling it out. So I can see it going either way. Hopefully, But in any case,
Jets fan that says the opposite would be lying. I don't think we've ever felt comfortable about predicting a score since we had Rex Ryan in the building.
Oh yeah. I can see that. Look, hey,
we're always on edge, man. Like if you was to sit down with like a Jets fan and watch a live game, like the moment anything bad happens, we start to rubbing thighs and stuff, and we're like, oh, I can feel the energy shifting. Like we know when things about to start really falling off the rails. It's crazy.
Hey, we do that in Tennessee too. We just wait till the kickoff. If the kickoff don't, did he really return that only to the 19 when we get a free 30 yards? You know what? What is PBA bowling on right now? Can I watch PBA bowling while the game is on? Because I don't want to stress myself out. So now I get it 100%, man, 100%. But yeah, hopefully, I just want a good game. I don't want to blow out either way because it really gives you feel of what you're gonna be doing and what can be done right here. But yeah, I think can't go wrong either way in that regards, obviously.
100%. Wrapping up, I was just thinking about this too because I was wondering. I was like, I remember there being some stuff injury report wise. What do you guys have going on? So I know we have
absolutely no one.
Nobody on injury list.
Nobody is
not good. I remember seeing like Jamal Adams' name. I think like Peter Skoronski, and I think Snead, but I wasn't sure what was going on with all of them.
Yeah, Snead is out for rest. I mean, we just basically took the plan that they used to do with him in KC and brought it over here. So he just rested a week, but he's 100%. Skoronski got in there with a neck thing, which it could have been he woke up or tweaked it, but he's good to go. And Jamal Adams, he was on there for a hip, but he was a full participation the whole week, so he's off. And then the only other thing was Otis Reese was our inside linebacker. He had a concussion, but that was from preseason, so he didn't even play last week.
So he's just finishing concussion.
Yeah, he's out of the protocol now and coming back. So yeah, other than that, we are relatively healthy. And
this should be a real good game then, because I think we're pretty much full strength on our side too.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. Hey, no excuses. We in for a good match.
Oh yeah. Definitely gonna be excited. Look, it's football, so I'm glad, because I really need to get that taste out of my mouth. So even if it's not a win, I just don't need him to mess up.
Yeah, no, I feel that some kind of silver lining to get you into the next game for sure.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you, my man.
Hey man, absolutely.
You can let everybody know where they can catch you again real quick. And I meant to mention this in the beginning, but for everybody out there, I'll of course have his details in the description. But go ahead and let them know where they can find you at.
Oh yeah, man. I'm on YouTube, man. I'm Bonafide, and it's Section 240. If you watch the first video on my channel, it'll explain all of how I came up with the name, but been a Titans fan since like before 99, since we were the Oilers. But yeah, you can catch me on there. You can catch me on Twitter at Bonafidebro on Twitter. I usually ranting and raving about the Titans throughout the season, but you can follow me there. And then if you want some merch, like, if you got a Titans fan in your family, want some merch, you can hit us up at our website, Section240.com. We got a couple of shirts there that, for the Titans fan in your life. No Jets merch, at least not right now. Yeah. I mean, maybe if you cover this part up, you can just say, hey, this used to be the old Titans. Hey, yeah. But that's where I'm at, man. But I appreciate the opportunity, DK, man. It was a great thing, man. I'm looking forward to it. I know you're going to do big things, man. It was a really good vibe. It was a conversation. Like you almost had me root for the Jets. You almost had me ready to go back to, watching Hard Knocks. Like, man, put the Jets back on there, man. So, man, I appreciate the opportunity, bro.
Yeah, no, likewise. And I've checked out his channel. You guys know I try to vet everybody coming through, so we don't have fires going off in the middle of these. But he has a great channel. Titans fan through and through is dope, and
Appreciate it.
I have an affinity for the powder blue anyway. So
it's a good color, man. It's a great color. Best throwback uniforms in the league, if I say so myself. But somebody might say Seattle, the powder. Yeah, it's the Oilers. It's still us. Houston is mad.
No arguments here. I'm not hugely bought into like jerseys and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I want one to look good, so I like our black and green combinations.
Oh yeah, them is dope.
But I'm not a huge fan of a lot of like our retro and throwback stuff. There's like one or two combinations that look good, but like I could do without.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So we'll end it there. Of course, you guys drop your questions, comments, hot takes, all that good stuff in the chat. I'll circle anything back to him if there's anything super crazy in there. You guys definitely want to know from him. And then again, please check out his channel. But I hope everybody's easy out there. Looking forward to Sunday, and I'll catch you guys again.
All right, man. Tighten up, y'all.